Dispatch here. What is your emergency? Hi there. My girlfriend and I got back from the bars late last night, got into a fight, and she just took off. Okay. I tried running after her, but couldn't track her down, and I still haven't heard a word. Her cell goes straight to voicemail. I've checked with all our relatives, and nobody's seen her, so I need some advice on what to do next. Where was the last place you saw her? The Alpine Meadows Apartments. It's basically right up at the end of College Way. When 23-year-old Kay Sawyer disappears right outside her front door on July 23rd, 2016, nobody predicts the horror waiting in the wings. What starts off as a standard missing person report fast tracks into one of Oregon's most terrifying crime waves, crossing state lines and including abduction, carjacking, attempted homicide, and a 10-mile high-speed chase. And standing in the middle of this storm is a man driven by a lethal hunger. My whole life, I've been fighting against these compulsions to take a life. So I shoved her onto the ground and smashed a rock right over her head. I pulled her body behind a tree over there and hit her again, and that was it, because I heard her take her last breath. Based on what you're saying, this is the part that doesn't add up. If you didn't already plan to hurt her or do something evil, that's just pure wicked darkness right there, bro. It exists. You just have to look it in the eye and own it, man. This tragic night kicks off with a celebration. Kay heads out with her crew for a bachelorette bash. They spend the night hopping between bars in downtown Bend, just drinking and hitting the dance floor. Later on, Kay's friends spot her dancing with some guy who definitely isn't her boyfriend, Cameron Reemhofer. They are just getting flirty, but no one thinks it's a big deal. A bit later, Kay texts a mutual friend of hers and Cam's to say sorry for dancing with another guy. Shortly after, she messages Cam directly and asks him to come get her. When Cam pulls up, they start fighting in the car, and a small spat turns into a blow-up at 12:14 in the morning. They get back to their place at the bottom of the hill near Central Oregon Community College. Cam tells Kay to take a walk and cool down, then heads inside thinking she'll come up in a minute. 10 minutes later, at 12:24, she still hasn't walked through the door. He goes out to check on her, but she's gone. So they shoot a few angry texts back and forth. The last message from her hits his phone around 12:42 a.m. Are you serious? Because that is it. Goodbye. Phone's off. Seconds later, her line goes dead, and Cam tries calling repeatedly, but it goes straight to voicemail every time. Finally, he figures she just needs space and goes to sleep, thinking she'll be back by sunrise. By the time the sun comes up on Sunday, July 24th, 2016, nobody has heard a peep from Kay Sawyer. Cam wakes up to an empty bed and sends a bunch of messages that go unanswered all day. He keeps asking if she's okay and when she's coming back, but gets zero response. By 6 in the evening, Cameron can't sit still anymore, so he dials 911 to report her missing. Not long after, Kay's mom, Julie Van Cleve, makes her own emergency call begging them to find her daughter. Dispatch here, what's your emergency? Yes, I need an officer to call me back immediately. My daughter's gone missing, and she's 23, but she has epilepsy and other health problems. Where did she go missing from? It's her boyfriend's place. They live up at the Regency near the community college. Her boyfriend actually did ring them up, but the officer basically told him, look, just keep your eyes peeled for her. And she, do you happen to know the number he would have dialed us from? All right. And who am I speaking with? It's Julie. Juli. Last name Vans Cleve. Vancleave. Got it. I am going to have the deputy who spoke with her boyfriend earlier reach out to you directly. Okay, that sounds perfect. Thank you so much. No problem at all. Take care. Goodbye. In the beginning, the detectives treat the file like a standard missing person case and start asking around. They immediately zero in on the people inside Kayle's inner circle. Since Cameron Reemhofer was the last person to see her alive, he naturally becomes the prime suspect. Investigators grill him extensively to get every detail. They tear apart his story, check his digital footprint, and search both his vehicle and their apartment. He helps them out completely, walking them through his night and unlocking everything they asked for. So there is zero evidence tying him to her vanishing. But in those early hours, they can't ignore any possibility. It becomes obvious to the investigators that Cameron is totally clueless about her whereabouts, His fear looks real and he is visibly rattled, so they decide to clear his name. As for Cale Silver, Subaru Impreza, it remains sitting there. It is parked right in front of her buddy's place, exactly where she dropped it before the party started. This proves she never made it back to retrieve her ride. As time ticks by, the officers start backtracking Cale's path from the previous night. They interview the girls from the Bachelorette Bash, hit up the local pubs, and sweep the college grounds. The team also tries to pinpoint her location by pinging her smartphone. Signals bounce all over the map, one in Madras, another on Mountaineer Way, then near Black Butte, sending cops rushing out. However, once they arrive on the scene, they realize the signal is not from the device she has with her. Turns out it was just an old handset she had loaned to a pal to use, like a tablet. Whenever that person hopped on Wi-Fi, the system flagged it as Cale's active device. While this is happening, Cam is driving loops from their condo to the campus, scanning the shoulders of the road in hopes of seeing her walking. By the time night falls, the operation scales up significantly. The Major Crimes Unit mobilizes, pulling in support from Bend, Redmond, Deschutes County, and the state police. While the hunt for Cale Sawyer presses on, fresh name starts to pop up on their radar. Edwin Enoch Lara, a 31-year-old guard working security at the very college where she vanished. Everyone on campus knows him as a reserved, well-mannered guy. He is married to Isabel Ponce Lara, who happens to be a trainee officer over in Redmond, making Edwin look like a solid, upstanding citizen. He fits the profile of a guy you would trust with your life. On the evening, Cale goes missing. Edwin clocks in for his usual graveyard shift starting at 3 p.m. He wraps up before the sun comes up and heads straight back to his house. After grabbing a couple hours of shut-eye, he and Isabel get dressed and head to Sunday service together, sticking to their regular weekly routine. But on the ride over, he was strangely silent. He barely spoke a word, which just felt off. At the service, he was just super quiet and really kept to himself, and usually he would be playful and grab my head or something like that, and he wasn't acting right. So when we left, I asked him, "Hey, are you okay? Is something bothering you?" But he didn't give me a real answer. Look, we have been together for a long time, so I can tell when things are off. So when did you guys finish up with the church service, roughly speaking? It was around 12 o'clock. Got it. Did you drive straight back to Redmond, or did you stop to grab some lunch? We went back home. Well, actually, we swung by to pick up some Pizza Hut. Understood. We went home, ate the pizza, watched some Netflix, and then he suggested we go catch a film. I said, sure, let's go do that, and then we drove over to Bend, okay, to see a show. My cousin Benny Melvin tagged along, so after the movie ended, what did you guys do next? We just walked around the Old Mill District for a little while. All right, and then that was it, so we hopped back in the vehicle. We drove back, dropped Benny off at his place, and then went home. Okay, did you guys take the Altima to the church service? No, we took the Jeep. Were you in the Jeep the entire day for all your stops? Yes. And where was the Altima parked at the house? Was it parked out on the street or sitting in the driveway? It was on the street right where he usually leaves it, okay? So that is standard for him to park the Altima on the street. You know what just crossed my mind? He had the windows rolled down a crack. He never used to do that. Interesting. I asked him why, and he said, it's hot, so what time did you drop Benny off to take him home? It was getting late. I would say around 11 or maybe close to midnight, right? And then did you two head straight back home from there? After dropping him off, yes, we went straight back to the house. And what did you guys do once you got inside? I got inside and decided to get cleaned up and take a shower. He tried to join me, but I told him to get out, so he left me to shower alone. He stepped out, and then we went to bed. Okay, do you remember roughly what time that was? I would guess around 1 o'clock. On the surface, it seems like just another ordinary day, but underneath the routine, something feels very wrong. Isabel notices moments where he seems distant, staring off and barely talking. She brushes it off at the moment, assuming it is just fatigue. But Edwin is not quiet because he is exhausted. It is the weight of something he cannot hide much longer. So regarding this morning, was he in bed with you the entire night? correct. When did you get up? I was up by 9 o'clock. Understood. I actually woke up at 8:30, but I laid there for a bit before getting out. I finally got up at 9. All right. Was he lying there with you? Yes. He was in bed with me. So he was still asleep when you left the room at 9. That is right. Do you know when he woke up after that? I would guess around 10:30 or so. We are talking about Monday here, since today is Tuesday. You are correct. Monday. Specifically Monday morning. How did your morning unfold? Well, I got up first. He mumbled, "Oh, you are up already?" Since he had been sleeping. Right. I told him I was awake and that he should keep sleeping. So he stayed in bed while I started my day. I went out, started the sprinklers, and turned on the TV to wait. I was just killing time until he got up so we could start our morning. Then he walked out of the bedroom with tears in his eyes. I immediately asked, "What is wrong? You need to tell me what happened." He sat on the couch. I turned off the TV, and then he just said it. He told me, "I killed a woman." Those were his words. I asked what he meant, and he said he hit her with the car. Did he specify the vehicle? He said it was the security car he uses for work. How did you respond to that? I was confused and asked, "What do you mean you hit her?" He said, "I hit her in a panic." I asked, "What does that even mean?" What exactly did you do? Did he specifically say he hit her because he panicked? I do not recall the exact phrasing, but he said he struck her with the car. Yes. And then he panicked. Got it. I kept pressing him to explain it to me. I said, "You hit her with the car. That is an accident. Why?" "What do you mean you panicked? Explain that." What was his reply? He just kept repeating that he panicked. By then, he was up and pacing back and forth towards the bedroom. I was not really grasping what he was telling me. When he was walking, was he heading to the bedroom? Yes. He went straight into the bedroom. I believe I eventually followed him inside. I told him, "You need to explain to me what happened." Then he finally agreed to talk. He spoke up at some point, maybe back in the living room since he was pacing. He confirmed that he hit her with the work car. I asked if there was any damage, and he blamed the grill. He claimed there were no marks on it. I asked, "So what did you do with the body?" And he just said, "I hit her." I kept pressing him for answers, asking why hitting her would make him panic enough to hide the body. He refused to explain himself, so nothing was adding up for me at all. It certainly was not. The entire conversation was incredibly short before he finally took off. He was just pacing back and forth the entire time he was there. I do not think he took anything else except for snatching my service weapon out of my bag. He just kept repeating over and over that he really needed to leave right now. Right as he was heading out the door, he mentioned that her belongings were out in our shed. He told me specifically to check the backyard shed for her things. He insisted that her property was stashed inside that shed. I suspect he said that because I kept telling him his story sounded impossible. It felt like he was lying straight to my face because the pieces did not fit, and he probably wanted me to see the proof myself, so I would finally believe him. Nothing he said was registering as truth in my mind at that moment. He could clearly tell that I was skeptical of every word coming out of his mouth. The whole situation felt surreal, almost like a scene from a bad movie. I was so confused, but the moment I actually laid eyes on the items, I froze. By the time I checked the shed, he was already long gone from the house. It was just unbelievable. Isabel is left completely paralyzed by Edwin's shocking confession. While she struggles to process the horror of his words, he snatches her gun and keys. He speeds away from the residence a few seconds later in her blue Nissan Altima. Isabel stands there trembling, unsure of her next move. The gravity of the situation has not fully hit her yet. She follows her gut, hopping into a vehicle and heading straight for the police station. Upon arrival, she reveals the devastating news to her colleagues. She reports that her husband, a campus security guard, admitted to murdering a woman in Bend. Isabel explains that Edwin claimed the victim's property was hidden in their backyard shed. She confirms that she checked the outbuilding and discovered the missing woman's possessions. Authorities activated the major crimes team at noon on the 25th. By 5 in the evening, a judge signed off on warrants for the house and vehicle. Officers moved in to execute the search immediately after. Investigators recovered multiple pieces of evidence, including the victim's green handbag, found exactly where described. The contents of the purse were disturbing. Detectives found her passport alongside a blood-soaked rock and pooled blood. They also discovered the victim's shoes stashed inside the same bag. Her wallet, bank cards, and car keys on a lanyard were also recovered. The team found bloody work boots and men's clothing at the scene as well. Police executed the warrant for the Nissan at 6:32 in the evening. They towed the sedan to the crime lab in Bin for forensic processing. Forensics collected several items containing potential DNA and blood evidence. These items directly connected the suspect to the young woman's disappearance. During his flight, the suspect phoned his campus security supervisor. He instructed his boss to investigate a specific area of the parking lot. Edwin explicitly referred to that location as a crime scene. When the supervisor questioned the suspect about Kay's whereabouts, he simply replied, "She wouldn't stop yelling, so I shoved her in the vehicle." Then he admitted that because she kept screaming, he had to end her life. The Major Crimes Unit, working alongside the Deschutes County Search and Rescue Team, managed to pinpoint the exact scene of the crime. Forensic experts scoured the lot in the nearby woods for a solid 4 hours. While combing through the area, they uncovered a whole pile of incriminating evidence. Following the leads from his 911 confession, police found the getaway car just past 2 in the afternoon. It was discovered on the 26th of July. Sitting inside the ride was a handwritten note pointing straight to Kay Sawyer's remains. Investigators raced to the site, praying against the odds that she might still be breathing. They located her body almost immediately in a ravine off Mackenzie Highway, right between Redmond and Sisters. And, as we're all painfully aware, Katie didn't make it. The medical exam confirmed that a severe blow to the skull was what killed her. Her wounds also prove she fought like hell to stay alive. The case against him is absolutely overwhelming. It also completely destroys the lie he told Isabel about accidentally hitting Kay with his vehicle. This was no accident. Within hours, a statewide manhunt kicks off for Edwin Lara in the car he's driving. His mugshot, physical details, and license plate number are broadcast to every single law enforcement department in Oregon. Police track his cell signal to Redmond at 12:22 on Monday, July 25th, then catch a ping in Salem around 7 that night, 90 miles from Bend. Once in Salem, Edwin fills up with cash and watches the customers walking in and out of the shops. He loiters for a while until he targets a girl walking by herself toward her vehicle. Around 8:45 that night, 19-year-old Andrea Maya clocks out from her shift at Ross Dress for Less in Salem. She heads out to the lot, unlocks her gold Volvo, and slides into the driver's seat. But before she can turn the key, Edwin Lara pops up at her window, aiming a pistol right at her face. He jumps into the passenger side and demands she head south down Interstate 5. As they drive for hours, Edwin shows her news stories on his phone about Kay Sawyer going missing. He admits to murdering that woman back in Bend and boasts about keeping her quiet permanently. With every passing mile, Andrea realizes her chances of survival are dropping fast. They cruise through the night while Edwin's mood swings wildly. One second he's chill, the next he's manic. When the car starts leaking oil, they pull over to buy more. Next they hit a McDonald's, where he keeps the weapon trained on her the whole time he's ordering. At 11:39 at night, Edwin makes her stop at a motel in Cottage Grove, and cameras catch him walking to the lobby. He warns her that he'll shoot both her and the clerk if she tries any funny business. Once inside, he shackles her to the bed frame and forces her to swallow sleeping pills. When he tries to make a move on her, Andrea thinks fast and claims she has a contagious disease. Her bluff works, and Edwin backs off. Right in the middle of this, his phone rings. He answers in Spanish, sounding totally stressed out. Andrea hears enough bits and pieces to realize the vibe has changed. Edwin talks about choppers and claims they are closing in, getting more panicked by the second. He hangs up, telling her the cops are right there. A few minutes later, at 1:26 in the morning, he drags Andrea back to the car and they bolt. By 5, they pull into a Super 8. Out in the lot, 73-year-old Jack Levy, nature photographer, is packing gear into his trunk. Edwin parks the car, grabs Andrea by hand, closing the distance to Levy while brandishing his firearm openly. He orders Levy to hand over the keys, but the man resists and screams for assistance, ignoring Edwin's warning to shut up before yelling again. Edwin loses his temper and fires around, striking Levy right in the stomach. Edwin and Andrea immediately take off running, covering a distance of roughly 150 yards to reach a mobile station positioned directly opposite the motel. Once there, Edwin notices a white Honda Accord occupied by 3 passengers. A 76-year-old grandmother sits with her 2 grandsons, aged 17 and 18, while their dad is inside the shop getting provisions. Edwin aims his weapon at the group and commands one of the teenagers to head south on Interstate 5. By the time the father exits the convenience store, he finds his dog wandering the lot and his vehicle missing, with his entire family taken along with it. He dials 911 instantly. While inside the car, the brothers attempt to plead with Edwin. They tell him this is actually their grandmother's very first visit to America, explaining they just got her from Canada and were heading to Los Angeles to show her the sights. Edwin appears to be genuinely touched by their explanation. He calls them good kids and gives his word that he will not end their lives. After traveling roughly 15 miles down Interstate 5, Edwin directs the driver to stop at a rest area. He lets the grandmother and the 2 boys go, but he forces Andrea to stay behind with him. Edwin instructs the family to avoid speaking with the authorities and warns them that they will die if they disobey. However, 1 hour after their release, the family reaches out to law enforcement to report they were let go at a rest stop along Interstate 5 and that everyone is safe. Edwin, keeping Andrea captive within the hijacked Honda Accord, kept racing south on Interstate 5, aiming for his grandfather's place in Los Angeles before escaping across the Mexican border. However, the California Highway Patrol is narrowing the gap, and Edwin's trail of violence is nearing its conclusion. While Edwin keeps heading south, he snatches Andrea's mobile device and begins filming a video of himself. Hey everyone, I just want to apologize for all my actions since I'm probably going to get caught. And sorry about that girl in Central Oregon. And I just want to let Andrea's family know that she is okay and she's going to be all right because up to now she's been handling everything I've been putting her through. You know, in case you guys are wondering if I hurt her, no, okay, I ain't that type of person, you know. I simply killed that other girl, you know, and I feel bad about it. I regret taking her life because she wouldn't stop screaming and it felt like forever. So, you know, like I said, she is still okay. We are driving and she will be back home very soon. I apologize to her grandmother and her relatives and to her boyfriend. You know, I am sorry for all the trouble I caused, all right? And you will see her very soon, okay? The police shouldn't shoot at us because if they fire, then whatever happens isn't my fault, okay? Sorry to everyone. Once the recording is done, he passes the device back to Andrea. With the weapon aimed at her, he commands her to upload the clip to Facebook with the caption "Murderer on the Loose." Andrea initially resists, explaining to Edwin that she has professional contacts on her Facebook and that this is humiliating. Edwin vows to end her life if she fails to make the post. Andrea has no other option, but she manages to swiftly she adjusted her Facebook privacy settings to restricted, ensuring she was the only one who could view the footage. Edwin drives recklessly now, topping 100 miles per hour and sometimes hitting 120. He is swerving through traffic, honking at others while driving wildly and unsafely. At about 6:30 in the morning, a highway patrolman spots the speeding white sedan and tries to pull him over. Edwin floors it, sparking a high-speed pursuit right down Interstate 5. At 6:49 a.m. on Tuesday, July 26, 2016, Edwin dials 911. Emergency dispatch, state your emergency. Yes, this is Edwin Lara, and I am the driver currently speeding down Interstate 5. I am pretty certain you guys already have a helicopter tracking me from above. That is correct. Also, I just wanted to tell you that I intend to surrender peacefully. Understood? What is your location? I am on the 5 I believe I am nearing Reading, if I am not mistaken. Just so you know, I am currently wanted for a homicide in the state of Oregon. I understand. Are you alone in the car? No. I have a passenger with me who I took from Oregon, and she is innocent. Her first name is Andrea. What is your last name? She is innocent. I will put her on the line to give her surname if you promise to call her family for us. Okay? Hold on a second. Just wait one moment. Hello? Yes. Hi there. Can you tell me your name? It is Andrea. Andrea. And what is your last name? It is spelled Maes. Got it. Are you injured in any way, Andrea? No. No injuries. Okay. The caller's extreme narcissism becomes blatantly obvious during the conversation. After terrorizing families across 2 states, he focuses entirely on his own safety and comfort. I need to ask a favor of you. Go ahead. Well, I suffer from asthma. You have an asthmatic condition? Okay, yes. Please tell the officers not to be rough with me because, honestly, I am struggling to breathe right now. Do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I am carrying a gun, but I will not show it, so please tell them not to shoot me. I really do not want to die today. All right? If you keep your word, I will pass that message along. Yeah, I won't do anything. I just want to make sure they know. Also, please do not hurt Andrea. You know, she is a really sweet girl. Regarding the girl with you, how old is she? Andrea, what is your age? How old are you? 19. She is 19. Just 19 years old. All right? Okay? Does she have any weapons on her? No, she does not. I admit that I kidnapped her. Do you want me to toss my pistol out the window right now? Should I do it now? No, no, no. Do not do that right now. Okay? I just need you to stop the car. Maybe I can just hand the gun to Andrea, see if she wants to kill me herself. No, absolutely not. Then he delivers his confession, yet there is zero regret in his tone. Every syllable feels calculated and precise as he focuses on how his story will be perceived. We will see how that apology is received and what kind of deal he can cut. I know this is being recorded, but I just want to tell Kay's family that, you know, I am truly sorry. I am so sorry. I regret what I did to her, and eventually I will tell them where the body's located. You know, I will make sure of that so she can finally rest in peace. Do you want me to tell you now or just leave it on the recording? No. Wait. I remember. Okay, then. I just hope the police officers do not shoot me, you know, because I want to survive this. Yeah. Well, we are not going to let that happen. Just do exactly what you are supposed to do and follow every instruction you are given. I left a vehicle with a note inside, you know, in, what is that place called in Salem? Salem, Oregon. Okay, yeah. And what is the name of the mall? The Ross. Yeah, there is a Ross on Lancaster Drive in Salem. What is the name of it? What is it? Do you happen to know the address of the mall? Yeah, it is a Ross. A Ross shopping center. Ross, R-O-S-S. A Ross store. Yeah. Or a store. Or whatever you want to call it. It is a store. I left a station wagon there, you know, the one I took from my parents. Well, I was technically borrowing it. I told him I was going to borrow it, so I drove it all the way to Salem and parked right in front of the mall. There is a note inside, just in case. Hopefully it won't happen, but just in case I die, it is in the station wagon. Yeah, it is a station wagon. It is registered to my stepfather. So, Edwin, are you going to stop for the officers? Yeah, I am. As soon as I am done talking to you, I will just stay on the line. I just want to make sure you stop safely and really think about what you are doing. Okay, I will put Andrea on the phone. Okay, are you going to stop? Yeah, I am going to stop. Once you stop, make sure they can see your hands at all times. Okay? All right, just tell them I am going to pull into that casino. You are going to go into the casino? Yep. I am not going inside the building. I am just going to stop in the parking lot. Yes. That way we get off the freeway. I do not want to put the officers in any danger. Okay, so once you get to the parking lot, can you ensure they see your hands at all times? Yes, I will. Where is your gun at? I promise. It is sitting right between my legs, okay? Let me talk to Andrea, okay? Just do not hang up. I am not. Hello? Yeah. Hi, Andrea. Are you okay? Do you need any medical attention? No. Okay. So, Edwin, where is his gun at? Does he have it on his leg? I do not know. Do you have a visual on it? He claimed to have it wedged between his legs. Is he pulling over? Yeah, it looks like he is coming to a stop. All right. Just ensure your hands remain visible and up in the air. I know you're on the phone, but keep one hand raised so they can see you are complying. Understood? I will stay on the line with you right until the officers arrive on the scene. Okay? And listen to me. You are going to be just fine. Andrea's that guy. Does he have his hands raised right now? Yes, his hands are definitely up in the air. Okay. We need to ensure the suspect cannot overhear your conversation. He really cannot hear a thing. Should I exit the vehicle or shout to him that we're telling the cops he can't hear them? Snorts. He is already walking straight toward the officers. He is heading right for the squad car. Make sure he keeps those hands high. Yeah, he is doing it. He is complying. Yell at him to spin around and not approach head on. He needs to walk backward. I can't do that. He is way too far away. All right. Music playing. When it is your turn to exit, do the same thing. Turn around and back up. Reverse toward the officers. Do not walk facing them. Okay. Do I stay connected? Actually, I'll hang up as soon as you step out of the car. Can you see what is happening? Is he in custody yet? They are slapping the handcuffs on him right now. Cuffing him? Yeah. All right. I am ending the call. Just get out and back toward him with your hands raised. Okay. Will do. Listen, Andrea, everything will be okay. Oh, wait. The officer ordered me to stay inside. You were told to stay put? Okay. Then just follow whatever instructions they scream at you. All right. Around 7 a.m., Edwin finally eases onto the shoulder of Interstate 5 near Corning, California. A dashcam video from a California Highway Patrol cruiser documents the entire arrest. The 48-hour multi-state crime spree of Edwin Lara has finally come to an end. Moments after securing Edwin, the deputies also place handcuffs on Andrea. Investigators initially suspect she is an accomplice and take her into custody. Authorities transport Andrea to Tama County Jail, holding her for about 3 hours. Officers interrogate her, attempting to determine if she played a part in Edwin's crimes. After nearly 3 hours of questioning, they conclude she is a victim, not a suspect. By Wednesday morning, they drop all charges and release her. Back at the Tama County Jail, investigators from Oregon show up a few hours later. They are seeking answers regarding Kaylee Sawyer. Edwin consents to an interview. All right. My name is Sergeant Aquinto. I am not... Hold on. I don't need to introduce myself since you guys know who I am. We go back a bit, don't we? So, a few items to cover. We have some administrative housekeeping to get through before we discuss the details. That involves reading you, your Miranda rights, and your right to legal counsel. Wanted to have a quick word with you, just so you get where I am coming from, since it seems like you have actually done some decent stuff up until now. So honestly, we aren't really worried about the confidentiality agreement at this stage. The focus is going to be on, locating her okay. The investigators instantly paint Edwin as a good guy by downplaying the gravity of his crimes. Their goal is to nudge him toward playing ball. I am the type of dude who lays his cards face up. Okay? I ain't going to sit here and play mind games or whatever. Detective McLaughlin operates the same way. All right? Look, bottom line is I want to get back to my place, and I will do whatever it takes to get there. You got it, sir. And by your place, you mean Oregon. Right? Okay. Yeah, we are actually trying to sort that out, too. All right, so that is definitely in the works. This conversation highlights Edwin's main mental motivation, which is saving his own skin. Every move he makes in this room is designed to help him achieve that end. Here is the deal. I really want to cut straight to the chase. We haven't managed to locate Katie's remains yet. Could you please help me figure out where she is right now before we move on to discussing any other topics? The point behind me asking is I have been through this plenty of times. I want to reveal where the body is. Yeah, I really do. But I want to get moving on that travel first. Okay? Edwin realizes recovering Cale is the cop's main objective, so he leverages that intel to get his demand transferred back to Oregon State custody. The investigators, though, kept ramping up the psychological stakes. We can't undo the past for anyone in this room, and the public is going to care way more about your current choices than your history. Therefore, we are aware you have been chatting with folks and so on and so forth, right? And since we deal with separate legal zones, I promise you the district attorney is currently trying to clear your transfer to Oregon. You follow? But they are still hammering out the details, okay? So, meanwhile, we got to look at a few factors, all right? If word gets out to others that your attitude was, heck yeah, I will talk, but not until my demands are met, they might start interpreting this situation in a way that isn't really accurate, right? You realize from your own background and schooling that we have a huge amount of manpower currently focused on a single goal, which is helping the family involved, okay? And they require that closure, and they require it immediately. So I need you to keep in mind that the past isn't as critical as the moves you make today. Yep. And you know this man. Man wants to draw a map. So first, can I explain the full story of how it went down, please? Sure. While you are sketching, please, or whatever else you feel like doing. Edwin consents to sketching the location, yet he insists on sharing his narrative too. Studies regarding offender admissions indicate that suspects who admit guilt freely usually do it not because of remorse, but to manage the narrative around their behavior. That is precisely the strategy Edwin is employing right now. Okay, so we are looking at Highway 26. Right on. That lines up with the cell signal. Exactly. Are you familiar with the Deschutes River? The Deschutes. Got it. Does that put us near Redmond? Definitely closer to the Redmond side. Yeah. All right. I'm estimating we are less than 10 miles out. Keep rolling. Hold up. I see a mailbox right there. Address is 18,700. It's directly opposite. Check the southern shoulder of the road. This side is north. Yeah? Okay. So scan the south bank. Understood. We are heading east toward Redmond. Spot on. Going west takes you back to Sisters. This map tracks the exact route he drove. Yeah, this connects over to Highway 126. Verify the house number listed on that post. He claimed it is straight across from that box, southern edge. Distance from the asphalt, he said it is visible immediately. Insisted it is plain as day. Concealed in the trench. Did he dig a hole or not? Laying in the gully. Just dumped there. Got it. Off-road, opposite the mail drop. Right. Having pinpointed the victim's whereabouts, investigators pivot. They need the truth about that evening. Talk to me. Give it to me straight. How did this go down? I was posting notices for that campus event. I was rushing, really hustling because I needed to swing south onto College Way near Lot B4. I took a turn into the restricted zone and didn't spot her. She was dressed in dark clothing. Like I said, I was moving fast. I take the blame. I never thought anyone would be out that late. I made the turn and, well, the impact wasn't severe. My push bar clipped her and she took a spill. Edwin begins his story here. He portrays the collision as a mishap to lower the stakes. It is a textbook rationalization tactic, often used when suspects can't face what they've done. Initially, my mind started racing. I panicked, thinking I'd ended her, even though the hit was light. I exited the vehicle. She was intoxicated, locked eyes with me, and began yelling, just screaming her head off, really loud. I freaked out and grabbed her, telling her to keep it down. Then she went limp. I loaded her into the cruiser, drove to Lot B12, totally losing my nerve. She'd identified me. Seeing who I was, I opened the door and she came to. The yelling started up again, so I went for her neck. I kept whispering, "Be quiet. Just be quiet. Shut your mouth. Shut it." She was fighting hard to scream. So I slammed her to the ground and just completely lost my head. After that, I dragged her body over behind a tree to hide her. I had this other thought. I thought she was dead because I heard her breathing her last. This marks the first time Edwin admits to using intentional deadly force. Yet even in this moment of raw honesty, he refuses to take full responsibility. He pushes the blame outward onto others. Exactly. Leaving the body there, I went straight to the campus gym, tried to scrub everything off, all the dirt on my neck. I had a stain on my shirt. I was wearing the bike patrol shirt, and those things don't stain. I couldn't take it off, so I started washing my pants and boots right there at the gym. I ducked into the men's bathroom. It was right by the main entrance on the south side of Zama. Then after finishing up there, I just walked out. I headed to the women's showers and started washing all the dirt off my pants. Then I checked my watch and it was around 1:50 or whatever. My shift was pretty much over. I knew Adam was back in the office, so I'm like, hey, I'm never usually late. I'm heading out. When my shift ends, I need to be there. So I showed up around 2:01 or something like that. I was covered in grime and he wanted to chat about something. I wouldn't look him in the eye because I had this scratch on my face. I was terrified he'd notice it since I knew you guys were going to investigate us. I knew that for a fact. I'm not stupid when it comes to people. Yeah. So I panicked and just let him keep talking while I acted normal. I pretended to work on the computer. Just saying, oh, yes, yes, yes. And I tried telling him something, but I was so nervous, I don't think he could even understand a word I was saying. He goes, what? And I said it again, but he still didn't get it. So anyway, I think he just let it go at that point. He didn't ask any more questions, but I don't think he suspected anything bad. He probably just figured I was exhausted since I told him I was tired. I just wanted to go home. Walking out, I thought, okay, I need to move her because if they find her in the lots, it's on me. Because Adam was in the office all day doing paperwork. Edwin is hyper aware of how he appears to others. He carefully manipulates the interaction with his supervisor to dodge suspicion. This isn't the behavior of someone in shock. It is someone actively covering his tracks. So I drove back up there and got my car ready. I grabbed a trash can first from the study room at the education center. I got a trash bag, drove up the hill again, and shoved her head inside the bag. I put her in the trunk of my car and just drove her out of there. Was that your personal car? Yeah. Which vehicle is that? Did I need one? You guys are at the point where, yeah, found it. Okay. But look, it simply isn't fair for me to put words in your mouth, right? I'm just asking. Edwin is still trying to figure out what the detectives know and what they don't. He wants to confirm if they located his Nissan because he needs to check his liability. He has to calculate the risk and see if there is forensic proof in that car that contradicts his story. So tell me, what happened next? So I drove her out to a ditch pretty close to my parents' house. And she was sort of heavy, so I had to struggle. I just grabbed her and basically ripped everything off her, all her clothes. I tossed her in that ditch and went back home thinking, man, they're going to find her fast. So I have to move her, move her somewhere else so nobody's ever going to be able to find her. So the next day, actually, it was the night after that, while my wife was asleep, I just slipped out of bed without her hearing me. And I headed out to the location that the first place where you put K. Is it near your folks? Just how close to your parents' house are we talking here? So the street is Hammocks. Hemlock, I think it is. Bolts, hem bolts. Yes. Holds, and this is very important. There is a little, I don't know the word. Thinking it might be a small creek or a lake or something right there. So close. Right next to that. So I just dumped the body right there and I came back and followed through. At this time I felt terrible because I never killed anyone before. I felt really bad about her, about what happened to the girl. And I was feeling really awful about just the whole situation. And I know that most likely I'm going to die for this eventually. And that's going to be one of the main things that I'm going to carry in my heart is just the regret of hurting this girl. I know this is being recorded, so I apologize to the parents too. I know she didn't deserve what I did to her. Edwin's self-centeredness is unmistakable. His main concern is his future in prison, the burden he will bear, and the regret consuming him. The apology to Cale's parents is brief and lacks real feeling. inserted almost as if it were an afterthought. So the day after I moved her body. The second time, or the first time, no, second time I should say, I woke up with this weight on my chest, like it was heavy, so I knew right from the moment. I told my wife she was going to turn me in because I know her, and she loves her job and she loves what she does. I knew she was going to make the call no matter how much she loves me. So that was the reason I let her know. I told her I took that girl out and now I'm leaving. I'm driving away from here, so you handle your business. And she asked why I was putting her in that position. I told her it's because I know she's the type to step up and do the right thing. I know you won't cover for me because that's just not who you are deep down. So she just kept begging me, please don't go. Just surrender to them. Turn yourself in. But I told her I wasn't trying to spend the rest of my days locked up with everybody else. I don't want to face the ultimate punishment. Edwin paints the admission to his wife as an act of bravery and honor. He claims he was aware she would report him, yet he told her anyway with that specific goal. However, the mental reality is much darker. As Edwin isn't confessing out of guilt, he is spilling the beans simply because the pressure is crushing him. Did you keep any of Kay's belongings back at the house? Yeah. Could you walk me through that, please? All right. So, I took the bag and moved it into my vehicle, aiming to get clear of it all, since I had actually snatched her phone out of the bag without any gloves on. My hands were bare, so I was terrified my prints were going to be plastered all over that handbag. That is why I took the bag and tossed it inside the car, thinking, well, I doubt there are prints on her body, but there are definitely prints on the bag. There was no way I could leave that purse behind. So I took her handbag, and while I was heading away from the campus down Portland Avenue, I chucked the device into the Sheets River. You mean the Sheets River over by the park? Yes. I tossed the phone right into the water. Which device was it? It was hers. And where was it before? It was inside her bag. Inside her bag. Why toss it in the water? Because they'd definitely find it, if I ditched it anywhere else. And honestly, I knew it was only a matter of time before I got nabbed. And backed into a corner, so you try to buy yourself a little time. I just wanted to stall for a bit to see if I could still have a moment with my family. The investigators have just heard Edwin confess to taking items from the scene and purposely destroying them to slow down the investigation. Now they are going to use that confession to tear Edwin's whole story apart. Look, there are a few things you have to grasp, and we are finally arriving at the core issue right now. We truly are. You knew she was never leaving that vehicle the second you closed that door. Hey, let me finish. You need to let me speak, all right? Because I know how this goes, okay? You said you grabbed her, and she was like, no. Then immediately you demand her bag and phone, knowing full well she wasn't getting out. She wasn't going to walk away from that meeting alive, was she? No, because you can't force yourself on her and then just let her go, can you? And she can't call for help if you just couldn't let her live. Edwin, something just isn't adding up here, man. Look, I get where your head is at, and it seems to make sense. It really does. But why demand her handbag? What was going through your mind that made you want it? Because, just in case she was packing heat or had something to protect herself with, or in case she tried to grab her cell to dial 911 for help. Okay, but hear me out on this point. Based on your story, this is where the logic completely falls apart. Unless that intent to do harm, that pure evil, was already sitting right there, bro. It is there, and you need to look it in the eye right now. You cannot run from it. You have to stare that demon down. If you didn't have bad intentions, your only worry would be the phone. You felt you had to take her phone so she couldn't call for help before anything actually went down. You had already made up your mind, am I right or am I wrong? Help me out. So I decided that I needed to keep her quiet. To end her life, let's be honest here. When you say keep her quiet, you mean kill her. Is that correct? All right, at what moment did you lock in that decision? The second she started screaming, I worried she might have clocked my face. But you already snatched her phone. You already cut off her lifeline. So you were already covering your tracks. See, I think it was way before when you asked for the bag, you already knew you were going to silence her. You were going to murder her. Why else ask for the bag? So when she handed it to me, I knew the phone was tucked in the back. It just clicked in my brain that her phone was stashed in there. Her phone has to be inside, you know. So I cleared my throat and told her to hand it over. Walk me through it. How exactly did you tell her to give you the purse? Tell us exactly how you said it. Okay, I just said, give me your purse. Simple as that. Just like that. Okay. So she hands it over and I say, your phone isn't in here. And she replies, yes, it is. So I start digging through the bag with this hand and I find the phone. I felt huge relief, but she is fighting with the door lock and I am yelling, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. The detectives poke holes in Edwin's story, highlighting the logical gaps. If Edwin only panicked after she screamed, why take her purse and phone before she had any reason to dial for assistance? You understand why you felt that relief when you found the phone. Do you know why? Tell me why you knew she wasn't calling and was never getting away because she saw you, she made you, and you already knew what you had to do. No, you had to silence her. You already admitted that much. Well, yeah. But seriously, why else would you grab her phone? Right at that specific second, I realized she was going to nail me, you know, and she was definitely going to talk or say something. If I just let her jump out of the ride, she is going to run and yell, hey, help, security, or whatever. While Edwin gets more tangled in his own fabrications, the investigators drill down on the main issue. What was the real reason he stopped for Kay in the first place? I honestly believe she really figured I was about to do something crazy. But you were, buddy. That is the issue here. You were. Absolutely were. In the beginning, I wasn't. Yeah, you were. No, I wasn't. Hold on a sec. Let me rewind. Let's get to the bottom of this immediately. When you spotted that young woman and grabbed her, was the plan to assist her since you're campus security and folks respect you? Was your actual goal to give her a hand, or was the goal to get something from her, whether by cash or by force? And once it all fell apart, you realized you had to silence her because the guy she trusted for protection was demanding something she refused to give up. So when I got her, typically if we assist somebody, we call it in over the airwaves. Did you report it on the radio? No, because I figured she might, and I suppose that is why I stayed off the radio. That is the reason I didn't radio it in. And once I saw she wasn't a pro, I just froze up. Oh, shoot. You know, now she is going to blab to everyone that I was out hunting for action. Oh, man. How sketch does it look for a guy to be cruising? You get me? And that isn't really all that terrible. Cruising for, well, yeah, but not for a guard on duty. Edwin finally spells out his real reasoning. He murdered Kay to save his job, his image, his marriage, and his own skin. Her existence didn't matter the second she put his ego at risk. Towards the conclusion of the interview, the cops hit Edwin with one last query. What is the source of this rage? His response is terrifying. I guess my whole life I've fought against this dark desire to kill. But the thing that helped me keep it in check, in a way, was getting hitched to my wife. It sort of faded away because I finally had a future to focus on. Prior to that, I had nothing. But somewhere down the road, the barriers holding back his impulses start to break. And on July 24th, 2016, as a defenseless lady walks solo through the night, his dark cravings meet the perfect chance. Before wrapping up the session, officers ask Edwin to read a note he wrote for Kay's dad. This is a calculated tactical move. Investigators need that note on tape as proof regarding Edwin's mental condition, his supposed regret, and the specific phrasing he uses. Is this for her father? Yeah. The last one is received. All right. I figure it would sound better for the file if we read this aloud. It could really help to show your emotions. You might want to read it aloud. I would be willing to read it. Thank you, sir. I've been trying to ask Katie for forgiveness, but I don't think her soul can hear my crying because God won't let the devil talk to angels. However, I know Katie listens to you, and if you can find it in your heart, please ask her to pardon me. Please, I am begging you, please. I know I will spend the rest of my days asking the Lord for his mercy, though I do not think he ever will. This is just horrible. I am not sure why you have to go through this, but I know for a fact you love your daughter. I read somewhere that you were frantically searching for her, and that moved the tiny heart I have left inside. I say tiny because a man like me really doesn't have a heart at all. Please forgive me, sir. Please forgive me, and please ask your wife to forgive me as well. I failed you. I failed my entire community. I failed everyone, even my own family. I am truly sorry. I beg you. A guy like me doesn't deserve the badge I wore, and I will never hold that post again. To the college, no one else needs to pay for my evil deeds. Every officer on that campus is a good man or woman. I apologize to my community. I apologize because I let you down. I am sorry for ever putting on the uniform. I regret ever being part of safety services. I ask the college community to forgive me. I am sorry, Jim Bennett. I failed you. May Kaylee Sawyer rest in peace. Sniffs and clears throat. With the interrogation over and Edwin's confession recorded, detectives shift their focus to finding Kaylee's body. Edwin provided precise directions. Highway 126 near milepost 100 in the Dry Creek area, right across from mailbox 18,700, just off the southern edge of the road. Within hours, officers arrive at the coordinates and discover Kaylee's remains exactly where Edwin said they would be. A post-mortem examination is conducted, and the official cause of death is determined to be blunt force trauma to the head. The wounds match Edwin's admission about using rocks as a weapon. However, her remains reveal additional evidence that wasn't fully covered during the questioning. Kaylee had been assaulted. It happened right before she was murdered. Defensive marks on her hands and under her nails prove that Kaylee clawed, scratched, and fought her attacker. Most crucially, investigators find Edwin's DNA underneath her fingernails. The Nissan Altima that Edwin used to flee his home is located just a few blocks away from his parents' residence in Redmond. He traded it for their Subaru before driving to Salem and starting his multi-state rampage. Police photograph the car and immediately begin a forensic analysis. Inside the trunk, they uncover a substantial amount of dried blood. Lab tests confirm that it belongs to Kaylee. Blood is also detected on the rear bumper, with several dried drops visible on the car's exterior. Detectives also recover a plastic bag from the trunk. It also contains traces of Kaylee's blood. Along with these findings, they identify hair, fibers, DNA, and other biological materials consistent with. It became undeniable that the victim's remains were transported inside that specific automobile. Detectives also uncovered a substantial amount of blood evidence over at Lot B12. Disturbing marks in a red trail led right into the foliage where the body was stashed behind timber. The suspect's police cruiser turned out to be a rolling crime scene itself. When investigators inspected the outside, they found it pristine, which blew a hole in his story about accidentally backing into her. The interior was a horror show, however, with biological traces plastered all over the upholstery and floor mats. The defendant was formally arraigned at the Deschutes County Circuit Court on August 26, 2016, roughly 8 weeks after the homicide. He faced 4 separate counts of aggravated murder regarding the death of the young woman. During that first court appearance, the accused stood up and pleaded not guilty to every charge. Between his recorded admission and the mountain of proof, it looked like an open and shut case. However, the prosecution ran into a major judicial hurdle when the judge tossed out the 6-hour confession, banning it from being used at trial. Yet the physical proof was so damning that instead of gambling on a jury verdict, the man pleaded guilty to aggravated murder on January 22nd, 2018. By taking the plea deal, he escaped the death penalty, a punishment the state originally intended to pursue. On that winter day in 2018, the killer was handed a life sentence with 0 chance of parole for the crime committed in Oregon. On April 25th, 2019, a federal judge tacked on a second life term for kidnapping and carjacking. He is right now locking down his time at the Snake River Correctional Facility in Ontario.